We're out for a little hike on the Maricopa Trail in Tonto National Forest in Arizona.
And in this video today, we're going to talk about the criteria and priorities that we use for choosing short-term 1 to 2 night campgrounds.
Yeah, we typically like to boondock or dry camp somewhere when we're en route to destinations, but when we have to find someplace with some services and such, we'll pull over for 1 to 2 nights. So these are 5 of our criteria that we use for determining where to stay for short term.
Our first criteria that we look at is location, location, location. When we're traveling en route to a destination, say a national park or something, we want to find a park that is as close as possible to the road, highway, whatever route that we are taking to get there.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the first things I ask Susan when she's researching a place. Now, these are typically things that we're doing more so on the fly when we don't necessarily have to make advanced reservations, maybe off season a little bit, and we've had really good fortune doing that. I mean, it's worked out quite well, and we know to make reservations well in advance when it's peak season and things like that. But anyway, that's the first thing I'm going to ask Susan. Do I have to go 20 miles off road? Am I going to have to go through a city or some really small, narrow route or something like that to get to it? Typically when we're en route somewhere and we're just pulling off for the night or two, I definitely like it to be easy on and easy off.
Yeah, for sure.
The second criteria that we look for is the spot, the actual place that we park.
Yeah, if we're just stopping for a night or two, we're typically going to look for a pull-through site.
Yeah, I don't mind back-ins. In fact, I prefer them, but for easy overnights or a couple nights, a pull-through could be very handy, especially if we don't want to unhook.
Yeah.
And then we'll look to make sure that the site has enough space in it, length and width. Sometimes we won't put the slides out, but if we need to put the slides out for some reason, we're definitely going to want to make sure that we can get those out, that there's nothing obstructing it or anything like that. What else for spot?
Check it out first.
Yeah, that's something that we do a lot. Certainly if we've never been to the place before or it's not very visible, I'll park out in the main area wherever they have a check-in area, or maybe even on the outside roadway if that's permitted, and then we'll walk and go look at the site. This gives us kind of a look around to see what we're getting ourselves into before we pull in to maybe a crowded place. And then also we can determine whether or not we like the site that they're offering us. And maybe we'll see another site when we're looking at that one that we'd prefer, and we can go in and ask them about that. So a good look around never hurts.
So our third criteria is going to be price. If we're only going to stay for a night or two, we're definitely not going to want to spend a whole lot of money. We've never spent more than, what, $50 on a site, and we typically try to find something around $30, $35 is pretty common, especially in the western half of the United States.
And we've stayed a lot cheaper than that when we're staying a little bit more long term, like when we're in the redwoods. I think we did like $15 a night or something like that. We look for specials and deals in advance for destination type places, but when we're on the road, we'll typically try to call in and get the best price we can. I think that when you talk to them over the phone, maybe some of them feel like they don't have you there yet, and they're trying to get you to come in, so maybe they'll give you a good price that way.
Yeah, and you want to make sure if you're just looking it up online that their price hasn't changed. So definitely calling and finding out what the price is and what type of discounts that they do offer, whether it's AAA, Good Sam, military. Whatever they have. That's
a really good point, because we have found that website prices have been inconsistent with what's going on. And also, if you're using discounts and stuff like that, make sure you let them know. I know a lot of times you don't want to tell them about the discount until after you're there and they give you the price, but the problem is you might be going there based on that discount, in your budget, and find out that they're not offering that discount during a certain type time frame, or they're just no longer doing it. So that's good to do, but definitely price is something that we look at, especially for these overnight things. We just try to get the best rate we possibly can, and we have been able to just ask people, you know, like, do you have a site that's maybe a little less money than that or something, and they usually will work with us. Or you know, the thing about the prices, though, that we've been along like the West Coast, like going up and down. We've seen sites that are like $100 and more a night. We never have paid that, and we've actually stayed in those parks and just got deals, or we've went to other parks maybe 2 or 3 miles away from where we wanted to be. So we definitely try to get the lowest possible rate that we can. Yeah. Next up, number 4 is amenities, and they're not really that big of a deal to us on these short-term stays.
Yeah, there's pretty much only one amenity that we really must have in these overnights, and that's a shower. Because we don't usually want to hook up our sewer hose. We may not even hook up the water hose. And we're not going to want to have to go through a dump station or carry extra water. So a shower that we can use while we're overnighting is definitely the big priority for as far as amenities go.
We can splurge a little bit and stay in the shower and enjoy it a little while.
Yeah,
so.
Nice long hot shower when you're traveling always feels good.
Yeah, so that's big. Another thing, it's really not big on the list for the short term. It's Wi-Fi, and I guess it would be big on the list if it actually worked at all the places that they say that it does work. But anyway, Wi-Fi, we typically will ask about that, but we do have a hotspot that we use for the short term. But typically we're not really needing the Wi-Fi unless we do 3 days or more in any given area. So Wi-Fi is another one, but not as big a deal.
So our 5th and final criteria is going to be area services, things like fuel, restaurants, supplies that are in the area.
Yeah, fuel's a big one for us because we typically try to manage our overnight stays with our fuel needs, and so we pretty much made it to where a tank of fuel is basically when we want to be done for the day. So we try to make that happen as much as possible, and it works out most of the time just right. So fuel is a big one. We do like to fuel up before we hook up.
Yeah, and if there's restaurants or some place to eat that's close by, I always opt for that, because if you're just stopping for the night, having to, drag out the dishes and cook something and wash dishes, and it just makes more work for getting ready in the morning. So if there's some place convenient to eat nearby, that always helps.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun to check out a new restaurant or something. Sometimes that's some of our search that we do, some of the research to find out what restaurants are around, and maybe talk to some of the locals and get some tips. And we usually don't just take one person's opinion on it, so because we've ran into some bad ones that way. But anyway, the restaurant's a big deal. And then some of the other services. This is a good time for us to stock up on some groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely like doing that. And anything else we might need, if we need DEF or any of that kind of stuff, we'll just try to find out if there's a general store in the area that we can go and hit all those things. So fuel, and then the restaurants, and then these other services, if they're there, helps out a lot.
So those are the 5 criteria that we use when looking for a short-term or overnight camp spot.
Yeah, they're not set in stone, but that's generally the way that we go about it. If you have some comments about this, feel free to put them in the comment section of this video.
And don't forget to share, subscribe, and click on that little notification bell.
Thanks for watching.